Welcome to the Racer's Edge Entertainment Network. Today we're going to sit down with Zack Wiley. Zack, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Zack got back from Baja 1000. This is a second trip to Baja.
Yes,
right?
this is Viva La Baja Part 2.
It is. Yeah, different players this time.
A couple different, but
yeah,
all the same results, good times.
right on. Wanted to get in a little bit, like right off the bat, this trip was a little different. First time you went down there, you were just assisting, working on the bike.
Right.
This time, you went down and there's a lot more on the line. You built the race bike that's behind us, straight from Baja, right?
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about the time frame building the bike, how much time you had to do it, and what went into the decisions on what went into the bike, how much leeway you had, that kind of stuff.
I got a call a couple months ago from the team owner, Chavo, and we kind of discussed about me building the bike, and, I was like, yeah, everything sounds great, and just got to kind of play the role until we get the bike and figure it all out, and then we were talking and talking, and next thing you know, I just had boxes of parts showing up, just to make it happen.
I do know. We were tripping over those things, right?
Yeah, we had
sure.
stacks of boxes here at the shop, but ended up getting the bike on like October 26th or something, and then I ended up taking the bike straight from Three Brothers, ended up framing the bike. This bike is actually a 2024 XCF. It's not an SXF. We powder coated the frame on it. We had gas powder do that for us.
Yeah.
He took care of us.
Which that was interesting. Like, I was against that. I remember, I'm like, we don't have enough time to powder coat this frame. There's no way. Like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, but you do what you always do and pull some strings and make it happen,
But yeah, that was crazy. I was like, man, I don't know. That's a big undertaking. Just to, like, you're going to frame it anyway, but just that little, possibility that something might not get done in time, and then we just have even less time to make it happen. From that time on, I remember we were stripping the bike down and everything. What do we have, about 2 weeks?
Roughly 2-ish weeks,
Yeah.
but kind of had World Vets coming up, so kind of was
right.
trying to focus on that a little bit, do the bike, and kind of get everything situated. Obviously, the bike was my number one priority, but
Right.
kind of went to World Vets a little cold, but it's all good. This made up for it,
Yeah, for sure. So I remember, like, got the bike. This is the first we'd seen a 24 KTM.
Right.
And went ahead and framed it, pulled the motor, and then it was like strip the thing down to pieces and install a 6-speed transmission.
Yeah, so I ended up pulling the whole motor apart, ended up doing a 6-speed transmission in it. I actually got a complete transmission that Chavo sent me, and kind of didn't know much about it, to be honest with you, but
no
he said it'll
instructions?
fit. No instructions. He said it would fit, and I just took his word because, I trust the guy, and he's a solid dude, so got it in there, put it all in, ended up putting it all together, and come Monday morning, I ended up getting the motor and the frame. I had the whole chassis built that next Monday. So we had a quick turnaround on the powder coat and just ended up knocking the bike out as quick as I could, but trying to be as thorough as I could.
Right, yeah. I mean, so this year the 1000 was 1,300 plus,
Yeah,
or
1,300 miles.
Yeah, 1,300 miles, which is
It's a long way.
Yeah, a long way, a lot of
Yeah.
pressure, right? So were there some parts or whatever that Travo like wanted in the bike specifically because of a tracker he had with the companies, or anything like that, or was it, how was the input, like what you gave on the bike and stuff?
There was quite a bit of back and forth on trying to figure out which parts that he specifically wanted, what was available at the time, and stuff like that. But we were able to kind of do pretty much everything we wanted to do to it. I had a couple inputs like the ZRT throttle and stuff like that, just little things, the foot pegs. I know we use they're welded stock foot pegs, so we had them all modified and done up. So, we didn't have any issues of losing screws or having any kind of defects.
Right. And Metal Tech did those? Is
Yeah,
that right?
Metal Tech crushed them. They had them turned around really quick and just knocked them out for us, which was awesome.
Right. And then how did you end up with the ride clamps? Like, is that just a decision Chavo made, or together? Or?
Yeah, Ride helps out the team a lot. They actually got us the triple clamps. They got us the floating axle block kit and a couple other little goodies for it. I ended up getting it all together pretty close, and then I ended up having to call Takamoto for some quick advice on doing some wiring and stuff, and that guy just dialed me in right away. He knew exactly what I was doing, knew where I was with everything, and he just made it all really kind of come together really easy for me.
Yeah, it was crazy because the bike's so new, not being able to get a couple bits and pieces because you were utilizing a different stator, right? Different stator in the bike and different stuff. And I know that there was like one of the clips that KTM didn't have. No one had it.
Right. We had to pull some strings from Taco Mike, and he made it happen. He had one. He said, "Hey, just return it when you can get it."
Yeah, that was sick. That without that, honestly, like you'd just have to make something, but it was kind of like the kind of part you didn't want to make, right?
Right.
For sure. So yeah, that guy was so awesome. Even during the whole race, he was hitting me up on Instagram and stuff, and we were both just trying to figure out because some of the timing issues were so crazy that you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I was trying to keep him updated through phone calls. We had our Starlink out there, so
yeah, that Starlink that was killer. I was like, anytime I'm texting you, going like, didn't want to bug you, but I'm like, hey, we still good? Like, what's going on? That thing was solid for sure.
Yeah, so we built the bike, left all the race suspension off, just so we could do some break-in miles on the stock suspension and save the race suspension for the race. But we ended up just kind of making it all come together at the last second and left straight for Baja the next week after World Vets.
That was it, yeah, which is crazy. You snuck World Vet in there in between everything, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a lot going on. Now, when you guys went down to Baja, the bike had how many miles on it?
So we plugged into the computer system. One of the guys, Vlad, he's a KTM mechanic. He brought his software down, and I think we ended up putting about 8 hours on it before the race.
Okay,
after
before
doing
the race, 8
testing
hours. Yeah, but 0 hours prior, right?
Zero
Just
prior.
A
little bit of faith.
Putting around.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That to me, that undertaking was insane because I've done a lot of desert races, done that kind of stuff, and I remember prepping bikes for a 200-mile race, and I'm like, I'm tripping on every detail.
Right.
And this one going straight from here, pre-run, then you got to prep it in between.
Lots of red Loctite.
Get everything dialed in,
Yeah.
and then just sending her 1,300 miles. And I mean, each rider on your team, I'm sure presents like, a unique situation. Some guys, their specialties, one thing or another. I don't know all the guys, but I do, at the limited time I've been able to like watch the team. Diego, it seemed like he would be pretty hard on equipment potentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, great rider, but man, dude, he's a hammer.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
But we had Damon down at WP, did all of our suspension for us.
Yeah.
So he did that, and he wasn't actually able to make it out because he was overseas in Argentina doing another race. So I kind of just took the lead role of setting up the bike for everyone, but it's kind of like a wide range. We have guys from 165 to 210, so trying to make the bike work for everybody really was... It actually wasn't bad. The bike was set up pretty good out of the box, just a couple clicks here and there. And then for Carter, he's 210 on the bike. He's our biggest guy. So we ended up just adding a little bit of preload to the forks, and he was okay with it. So we all kind of just settled on one setting. And
one setting, so no adjustments during the 1,300 miles.
So the only adjustment we would have to do is for when Carter got on the bike, we put a full turn of preload into the forks.
Right.
And that made the forks hold up a little bit better for his weight.
Right. Like a typical pit stop when you guys are down there, like how much time, and I don't know, like at the beginning of the race, are the pit stops shorter because you're trying to make time, and then once you realize you have a little bit of a cushion or whatever, you're able to like make a few more adjustments or check stuff out a little bit more, or is it just like in, out, like you have like seconds?
Most of the fuel pit stops are fairly quick. It's just dump fuel and go. We did 4 rear tires and 1 front tire change, and our pit stops are generally 1.5 to 2 minutes long.
Got it.
Doing tires, I did 1 set of brake pads at like mile 10, 15 or something, right off the road, and got all that all squared away. But yeah, we just they cooked the brakes. It wasn't a big deal. I had everything safety wired, so all the pins came right out nice and quick, and we're able to keep them together so you're not looking for them in your pit at night or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's killer. Um, did you have any difficulties at all during the race with like any mechanical kind of stuff, or was it pretty much just streamlined? Everything went off.
Everything's went pretty smooth for the most part. We had a little bit of a battery issue in the beginning, and once the sun started coming up, the guys were able to turn the lights off and kind of revive the battery to get through the day. Having that 500 stator on there and everything really was able to charge the battery to get us through.
Right.
But once we settled into the night, we made it about an hour or two into the dark on the second night, and the battery started cutting out a little bit. So right after like Zoo Road, I told them I'll be there for a pit and I could make a quick battery swap. And I ended up just cutting the strap because I couldn't get the strap off quick enough. And you're trying to save as much time as you can because the competition's fierce out there.
Yeah, no, that's killer. And I think we'll have a separate pod where we kind of talk a little bit more specifically about the race and the riders and some of that kind of stuff. But just really wanted to touch base on the bike and just, having, Chavo trust us to work on the bike at the shop was like just, that was a big moment for sure. And I know that he had some experience with you last year, at the 500, right? Yeah. So he had that confidence, and then you just taking that on. I just wanted to share a little bit of like what went into that, and as a shop, just how proud we were of that moment, and just for us to be able to have a small part, you know what I mean, in that is just sick, and Chavo and all the guys on the team were just like so solid, you know what I mean? A cool just group to work with for sure,
I definitely like really appreciate the opportunity to build this bike, and not only for us just to build it, but for this bike to win.
Yeah.
Like being one of the first KTMs to ever win the Baja 1000 in 56 years, it's pretty cool that it came from our little small shop,
Yeah.
It's very sentimental to me about how much time I've really put into this bike. Like, I built the bike quick, but I spent hours at night, hours and hours.
I got multiple texts at night from you, and I'm sleeping, and my phone's buzzing, and you're like, "Oh, the motor's done." I'm like, "Whoa, look, he's still at the shop right now."
Yeah.
Or like just figuring out little things. We have a brand new bike. I mean, I don't care if you're just a guy and you just buy a 24 Cowie and you're going to go out and ride it. You're going to find like these little things that you're not happy with, or you want to move, and then when you like take into consideration, you put a full race light setup. This doesn't have like the actual race light on it right now, but when I had like the big race light setup, just figuring out how to route the cables, the front brake cable effectively, and just all the cables are not going to cut or like anything's going to happen. Like so much thought went into that and stuff. I know, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy because when the guys were pre-running, the silt was getting so bad, they actually ended up cutting out the silt sections, and everyone missed the cutout, and everyone ended up just driving through the silt. Like everyone took the main course,
So they cut it out and they went through it anyway.
Yeah, because no one could see the turnout.
That's brutal, and that stuff's no fun anyway.
Yeah, the silt's like incredible down there, but it was just a little bit of everything because we had the silt, and then all of a sudden, after the silt, we ended up getting 5 hours of rain in Sonata.
Yeah.
Right at the end, the whole track was just a mud field.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So I know that Taco, there's like a lot of little bits and pieces on the bike. Where did the wheels come from? Are those just stock wheels, KTM wheels, or
these are KTM wheels? Yeah, they're like race ready wheels.
Race ready wheels, right?
Yeah, and then we run the Nitro Mooses in them.
Got it, and nitros, and full Akrapovich system. It's just it's a pretty bike, man, for sure. I thought like and to look at it now after all those miles and the thing is still looking tight. Obviously it came, didn't do any like buff out on it, and that's what you get there.
No, all we did really was we washed it and then took a couple of pictures on the beach, and the guys ripped some laps on the beach. So there's a little bit of sand on here, but I got to get it cleaned up and ready for next season. So
Right on.
That'll be the next big hurdle. Will be just going back through the whole bike again, making sure everything's good.
Right.
Probably end up just freshening the motor up, making sure everything is back up to spec and into par.
Right on. Well, dude, stoked to have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit. And again, like as a shop, we're super proud, man. And I know a lot of the customers were like stoked on it. And the bike's going to be here at the shop for like the next month or so, or next while. So if anybody wants to come take a picture with the bike,
Check it out.
The guys were cool enough to give us a couple jerseys and like the check. So if someone want to take a quick pic with the bike or something like that, that's available too. So. But yeah, Zach, appreciate you, Chavo, and the team and everybody, man. Such a great opportunity. We really appreciate it at the Racer's Edge, and just have a small part, you know, on my end and a big part on your end, man. That's killer, man.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say get well soon to Cade Walker.
Yeah.
No, he's going through a tough time, and you know we're all racing against each other, but we're all a big family in the end.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. Yeah, hearts go out, man, for sure. And yeah, if anybody has the opportunity to make a donation or whatever, man, make it happen.
Yeah, they have a road to recovery for him to help him out with whatever you need. So.
Right on. All right, thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Hasta la vista, baby.